Tonight, the speaker is Dr. Julius Smith. His rigorous skepticism and methodical analysis earn him high reputation as a debunker of mediums, spiritualists, fortune-tellers, prophets, holy sites, apparitions, and so on. He has steadfastly refused to give the investigators any hint of his topic for tonight. Smith is droll and entertaining and precise, man who recounts with relish the clever deceits and his cleverer exposures of charlatans and pretenders. Laughter is general and ongoing.
I refer, ladies and gentlemen, to three such classes. First, the poltergeist. Second, the traveller, the individual who finds himself without warning dozens, sometimes thousands, of miles or even years from where he stood only moments before. And third, to what is commonly, and somewhat carelessly, called the haunting. It is this last phenomenon that concerns my presentation tonight. I say haunting, and not ghost or spirit, for a very specific reason. Unlike other epiphenomena, haunters are not limited to the dead, nor even to the living. A haunter may be a man, a woman, or an animal, but it may equally be a building, a lantern, a coach and four, a sword, a procession, or even an army. Across the world, the store of casual anecdote concerning such haunters is enormous. And I say epiphenomena deliberately, for haunters are not linked to specific observers. The haunting, so far as we can determine, occurs whether or not a human witness is present. Perception of the event is therefore secondary to the event itself. The essential characteristics of a haunter are, in fact, quite simple. First, the person or object must have existed. Second, it must have disappeared in some sense. And third, it must reappear, once or many times. The location of the phenomenon may remain fixed, or it may change. That which reappears may be partial and insubstantial, or it may appear as solid, as detailed, and as real as any member of this distinguished gathering before me tonight. No other conditions are required.
At this point in the lecture, Professor Smith introduces a series of projected slides. They depict three hauntings documented in detail.
The first, a Breton fishing boat. The second, a Norwegian woman descending a staircase. The third, a London hansom cab, drawn by a single horse. Each incident was studied and photographed simultaneously from no fewer than 3 separate positions, allowing accurate scaling and comparison of the apparitions. From this data, several shared characteristics emerge. Most notably, these apparitions do not coalesce from points, as so many popular tales suggest. Rather, they seem to return to our time and space by elements of it, elements that have somehow been removed. They emerge slowly and whole from invisible planes, as if passing through what I have termed the curtains of perception. Each apparition is semi-transparent. In one image I trace the clear passage of a wave through the Breton fishing boat. The image causes no froth, no ripple. It offers no resistance to the water. In other slides, one may clearly see the second and third photographers through the image of the apparition itself. Each apparition also glows, appreciably so. By isolating reflections from nearby objects, we find that part of this glow may be attributed to ionization, though not all of it. Careful indexing reveals that the level of ionization varied randomly during each event. Movement, too, follows a curious rule. In all 3 cases, motion is slowed by a consistent factor of 1/2. Observe the ripple across the sail of the fishing boat. When 16mm cinematograph film of the event is speeded up, the ripple appears entirely normal, while the ocean waves become absurdly exaggerated. Likewise, the descent of the Norwegian woman seems far less uncanny when accelerated, and the horse drawing the hansom cab, when properly adjusted for speed, is revealed not as malevolent or mysterious, but merely flicking her tail, as one might expect to discourage flies. Historically, each of these three apparitions was believed to have disappeared, not to have been killed or destroyed, though I must stress that this observation does not apply to all recorded hauntings. Truly solid, touchable apparitions are exceedingly rare. One might wait many lifetimes for such an encounter. Finally, these apparitions do not appear to be uniformly preserved. The south of England, for instance, has been settled for many thousands of years. Yet the vast majority of reported hauntings originate within the past 5 or 6 centuries. Only a handful can be reliably traced to Roman times. In the past 30 years, science has begun to learn much about that which cannot be seen or normally sensed. We have discovered that certain behaviors on the atomic level are impossible in the greater world we inhabit. I have come to believe that hauntings may offer clues to as yet indefinable methods of arriving at or opening ways into other dimensions. It is my belief that such hauntings represent evidence of a natural universe far larger and far stranger than we commonly imagine. The walls of what we perceive as normality possess a subtle flexibility. The spectral hauntings I have discussed tonight may represent attempts, perhaps random, perhaps purposeful, and certainly unsuccessful, to cross those walls. What waits beyond them remains the supreme question. For the present, each of us must answer it for himself. There is, however, one further category that resists comfortable classification. In rare cases, the phenomenon does not appear to repeat a single past event, but rather suggests the echo of something deliberately constructed. Not a memory impressed upon place or time, but a composite, an assemblage of related impressions that do not belong to any one moment. These cases are extraordinarily scarce. Their documentation is fragmentary, and yet their characteristics are consistent. Such hauntings do not recur randomly. They exhibit a tendency toward convergence. Fragments are found in different regions, different cultures, and different centuries, yet display proportional relationships that only make sense when considered as parts of a whole. I stress that I am not speaking metaphorically. In these instances, the apparition is incomplete, a limb without a body, a torso without a head, an object whose purpose is unclear in isolation, but whose dimensions imply a missing context. Individually, such manifestations appear inert, harmless, silent. Taken together, however, they suggest intention. In certain medieval chronicles, often dismissed as allegorical or devotional, we find references to figures that must never be made whole, not slain, not destroyed, but divided, broken carefully and distributed widely. The language used is instructive. The writers do not speak of imprisonment, but of prevention. What then was being prevented? Some of these texts imply that the original object, or figure, was not dangerous in the ordinary sense. It did not attack, it did not rage, it did not conquer, it simply endured. And endurance, when paired with patience, may be the most dangerous attribute of all. If hauntings represent failed or incomplete returns, echoes caught between dimensions, then these composite phenomena may represent something else entirely. Not an accident, not a memory, but an interrupted process. I will say only this: where ordinary hauntings fade with time, these fragments do not appear to weaken. In some cases, their manifestations grow clearer, more defined, as though proximity, whether in space, in time, or in human attention, were a factor. It is not my position that such a reconstruction is imminent, but I would urge caution. For if one were to gather such fragments together, intentionally or otherwise, the result might not be a haunting in any sense we currently understand. It might be a return,